So we're nearing the end of 2023, and I figured today we would go ahead and take a look at some prototypes, but not Bionicle prototypes this time. I figured I wanted to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and go for something that's completely different, that has no relation to Bionicle at all, no similarities. Hero Factory. All right, no, but we are going to take a look at some Hero Factory prototypes. Of course, there are similarities. It follows Bionicle, but without further ado, let's just head right on over. We're checking this out on Heropedia, so herofactory.fandom.com. Not terribly familiar with the site, so my navigation might be terrible, but let's get right down into it. So we're going to start out with the very first set here. I do want to follow this up or preface this by saying I do have a little bit of experience with Hero Factory prototypes, specifically two. I have seen, I guess technically three. I've seen the Speeda Demon prototype because it has a Bionicle mask used in it. Well, what could have been Bionicle mask, the Batera mask, is used in that set on the prototype for some reason. I also have seen the prototype for the Toxic Reaper set because I was actually almost able to buy it. A guy apparently in Arkansas had one, but unfortunately was not willing to ship to me, and that was very sad. Third was the Witch Doctor. I don't know if I've seen the full set, but I've seen the prototype of his staff because someone brought it to me about a year ago asking if I could reverse engineer it, and I did so. So without further ado, none of the other sets are things that I have seen. We're going to start out here with Thunder. And Thunder is probably my personal favorite, maybe from Wave 1 at the very least. I do like him quite a lot. One reason I like him so much, though, is because he actually introduces, well, flat silver, a color I'm not terribly fond of, but he carries a lot of Bionicle pieces in that color, including the Anika shoulder pad, the Anika knee pad, the Mata Nui / Akar sword piece, and the Star's Foot. Plus his helmet probably is Hordika-like in its shape, in its aesthetic. I like it quite a lot. This set here, the prototype version, does have some differences. The helmet looks at least a little bit different, though I'm not positive. But the main difference here, of course, is the missing shoulder spike with that Mata Nui sword piece, but also this arm piece here, right? So his weapon is essentially a three-sided claw. It's a really neat piece, but it's connected to, in the final set, a light bluish gray piece, which I love because light bluish gray is not a color with a lot of support. And so here you can see it's either dark bluish gray or black. It's really hard to tell. But they give it an interesting texture. I like this piece in terms of its finished model, but it does have some flaws. So having seen this version here, it almost reminds me a little bit of a shark shape, a hammerhead shark shape, which I think is probably just my own bias since I've used this piece to make a hammerhead shark. But let's go ahead and move on. We can't spend all day on one model. I am not terribly well versed in terms of the second wave, which is what, Ordeal of Fire? Is that what it's called? Yeah. So I can't tell you personally if any of these are different. The only thing I can see right off the bat is the Drill Dozer helmet looks much lighter silver than it would than its finalized version would be. Which makes sense. I don't believe I've ever owned the Fire Lord set, but I've had pieces of the Fire Lord set from a lot specifically, and mine actually had an interesting story. Mine actually had a flat silver Bittle wing piece rather than gunmetal. That's actually how I got that piece originally. Now I don't have that anymore because I ended up getting rid of it, but I wish I had kept it because it turns out that that's either a misprint or something else because it's not supposed to be that color in this set, and I feel really bad because it doesn't come in flat silver apparently. Outside of that, the other sets, I can't tell you if there's any differences. They use the same helmets from what I can tell here, so always neat. But these are featuring reversible helmets, which makes sense. It saves on new molds, especially since this was the wave to introduce CCBS. I don't personally care for the helmets too much, though, in this wave at all, really. I think this helmet, at the very least, is okay. It's very generic, as it's intended to be. However, the fact that it connects with a double pin rather than an axle makes it severely limiting, and in fact, it's double pins on both sides, meaning that you have to have a middle to connect the two together. It's not great. I don't know why they did it. So, moving on to the next picture, it's basically the same stuff. here. I think that's Firelord next. So I, again, can't tell you if any of this is different. Maybe that's flat silver here instead of gunmetal. I honestly don't know. It looks lighter than the sheet, than the head, but at the same time, there's different lighting here. It's a render at the end of the day, so I can't tell you for sure. Moving on to the next one. This is Witch Doctor. That is the worst picture. That's like good toasted. Anyway, yeah, this one, I don't know if I've seen the full figure. You can see right off the bat that there is a black helmet and a white helmet here, which in the final model we would not get. I actually owned this set because it was a Christmas gift from my sister. But the final model is still a little bit interesting at the very least. But this is a really cool looking staff. I love the idea of this. And I've actually kind of taken this sort of approach to staves that I've made for some characters where it's kind of like a totem at the end of it or something, you know. Anyway, really interesting set. Does definitely look like there are some differences here as well, but it looks pretty close to the final model at the end of the day. I don't remember if he has white Zammer though. I think he has red Zammer. So there's a lot, it looks like just generally there's a lot less red on here than the final model has. So, and you can see that it looks like there's a ball. Oh no, it's a Hordika neck. Okay. I should know that again. I reverse engineered that part. So this one here, I believe, is Breakout. It's too hard to tell what any of that is. And then Black Phantom, not my favorite by any means. Cool helmet, though, at the very least. Kind of Paraka-like in its design, and many people have used it for that. But yeah, I don't think that this character specifically has anything really special going on, personally. The red bones are always nice, sure. But again, I can't tell you if anything's different. I just don't see any real detail on the shoulders. Maybe those are different. And of course, this looks like it could be white, but it's probably just silver and hard to tell. Moving on, we have what would become the Stormer XL figure here. And boy, he does not look XL here. This is before you hit the gym, I guess. But the drones are really cool. The dual molded drones rather than what we got. I love that, man. That would have been so much cooler than what we ended up getting. Not that they're not cool pieces. I think they are. But yeah, it would have been great, honestly, if this is what we would have gotten instead. So now we have the fabled Speeded Demon, and there are a lot of differences here from the final model. Again, for one, that head is silver. It is the Batera head on what appears to be a Ordeal of Fire headpiece, not a Glatorian headpiece, though. So I don't know how it's connected, or if Lego even made a mold of this, or if this is maybe just repurposed from a Bionicle prototype. It's hard to say, but I do see here purple Bionicle Borak eyes on that front wheel, and boy, that would have been nice to get those in a second set. I own those. I don't personally care for them too much, but I have made a video about it. I would definitely suggest checking it out. Either way, though, it would have at the very least been nice to have seen them in another set. And it also looks like there might even be some trans purple shell pieces on the back here as well, which would have been honestly fantastic. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not what we get, and this purple spike piece. In the official set, we would still get some exclusive purple pieces, including the Vorox or Skrull shell at the very least, so that's something. All right, moving on to the next one. This is definitely Stringer, who has his little like guitar gun thing, although it looks really weird. It looks bad. I'm just going to be honest. It looks bad here. I don't hate the model, though. I think the helmet's interesting, and it's hard for me to tell if this is actually supposed... I mean, yeah, it's obviously supposed to be Stringer because the name's at the bottom. But like the helmet looks like it's partially finished and then something completely different on the bottom, and I find that really odd. Cool colors, cool set. It looks like a orange or Keat orange body. Hard to say. In fact, all of the bones seem to be that color. Obviously, it's not what we would end up getting, but I do believe we got the body at least in a second color eventually. Boy, I don't know who this is supposed to be. All right, I think I know what the figure is supposed to represent. I just don't know his name, unfortunately. I love the purple feet here, man. That would have been so cool to have gotten those in purple. That would have been the first and only purple feet we would have gotten for Bionicle-like figures. Also, just long lightsaber bars. That's neat. I have wanted something like that for a while, so that would have been cool. And then you can see these electric pieces here as well. And I love the twisted, the braided Mari tubes here rather than... Because my problem with this set in its official version is that there are all kinds of colors and they make like no sense to me. Here, at least there's a suggestion of like magnetism or some kind of electrical components. The helmet is interesting at the very least, though I can't really tell what details might be there. So I think I like this better than what we got, but it's still a mess for what it's worth. This one here, I don't know what this is supposed to be. First of all, really like those shoulder pads though with the little vents on the side. I think those would become a different type of shoulder pad later. Also, I don't know what this is, but it almost looks like that's a helmet because I see like what looks to be an eye hole on the side of it here. It's hard to say, honestly. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be what would become necks or something. The helmet here looks pretty cool, even if it's a little bit, I don't know, generic. So yeah, I like it. And I think I like the colors overall there as well. Then you have Core Hunter. I don't know if this is actually Core Hunter. It just uses his head, of course. And then you also have the, oh, what is his name? Oh no. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it right now. Is that Corroder? I think the yellow head. Anyway, and then the clip, the precursor to the clip, which actually looks really cool. So I like that a lot. You have, there's so much neat stuff going on with this one specifically. The 2.0 helmet pieces. You have the white Glatorian heads, which people have seen and commented on. I think that's really cool, but a little macabre for Lego specifically. And then I can't tell if it's another head on this side or what it is. Just a lot of helmets on this character. It's kind of interesting. Oh boy, what is this supposed to be? So, oh, this is next. Okay, so I don't know who the other one was supposed to be then, but I really like the helmet actually here. For an asymmetric helmet, this looks pretty cool. I think I like this one better than what his final helmet would be, which was kind of like a play on the 2.0 helmet, which is still fine, but it feels a little, I don't know, disjointed in my opinion. Colors, red, orange, black, looks good. Obviously, he'd become white, orange, and black, which also works well, I think. Then this one, is this Meltdown? Am I mixing those names up? I can't remember which one. I don't know their names anymore. I've burned out my brain. So really interesting hand arm piece. I don't know what, like, it's obviously one piece. It would be cool if it was a joint in the middle there, but like, what is it supposed to be doing? Oh, it does look cool. It looks kind of terrifying in a cool way, right? Oh, this is so weird. Man, this is so weird looking. I don't know. Yeah, this is cool. All right, I like that one. Then you have the suggestion of what CCBS was supposed to be. I kind of talked about that a little bit in a video here. And then the Raka helmet, the Furno helmet. What is going on there too? That looks okay. Yeah, so it's the Furno. I really like that actually. That Furno helmet for brain attack looks really cool. The final one's a little like chunky. It's a little weird looking in my opinion. 2,600 more items. What is it talking about? All right, let me go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. Is that it? Is that all of it? Yeah, that looks to be all of it. And then there's just ads. So, all right. That's pretty much it for the video. I'm surprised. I really thought there would have been more than this. So what are my final thoughts? So I'm surprised by the amount of these that I like better than the final models. And that's not a knock on the final models from Hero Factory, because I think overall Hero Factory is fine as a series. But there are areas where it can feel a little disjointed. Characters can feel a little disjointed, right? I know a lot of people have been like kind of mentioning with my project, for example, with like the design of some of my Glatorian sets of using too many colors. And I think you can get away with using a lot of colors if you balance them correctly. And that could even be like a gimmick in and of itself. But it's difficult. And I think Hero Factory kind of proves this point, because when you look at this purple, yellow, red guy, he looks really cool. And he looks more themed to what his element is instead of what we ended up getting. I wish I could remember that character's name. I unfortunately can't. I'm not great with this kind of stuff. But I know what character it's trying to mimic at the very least. And I love the idea of the braided wires coming off of one side instead of having just kind of tubes sticking out everywhere haphazardly. I like it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one though, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. It's definitely a different one, a little outside my comfort zone, but that's part of the fun, right? It's the end of 2023. Might as well have some fun with it. And if you guys did enjoy this, make sure you are subscribed. Really helps out the channel. Of course, you can also check out Discord, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some perks in the description below. And I will see you all in the next one. Have a good year.